I am Mabel Foluke Irukera. I'm better known as Pastor Flakkie. My teenagers, my young adults call me Auntie Flakkie as well. However you choose to address me is fine by me. So you're welcome. Today with me, I have a very good friend, someone who's a sister as well. But more importantly today, she's coming in as a specialist. I think a few months ago, about 7 months ago, we had her live, and the location was at the Throne of God Parish in Ikoyi, and it was amazing. Wanted her back, and we're looking forward to having her until the coronavirus hit us. But before I don't want to just keep talking about her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Dr. Bolaji Popoola. She's a general psychiatrist. She's a consultant in that area. She's an addiction medicine consultant, and she's also a specialist in global mental health. So she's got lots of notches and lots of badges on her shoulders. We're really, really glad to have her here. She studied, good one girl, to get a master's in public health. We are really proud of her, and we're most glad, especially that she has a good heart and she has a desire to reach other people. She's a trauma specialist. And right now, I believe that one way or the other, we've all gone through a traumatic situation, the entire world. This has never happened. The last time this happened, and it wasn't even this magnitude because the world wasn't so connected, was over a century ago, 1918, the Spanish flu. This is more impactful. It's the first time, and we pray that it will never happen again in our generation, but we're part of history right now. And so today, our topic is life after COVID-19. And I remember somebody asking, Flakkie, is COVID-19 over? I said, well, when we say life after COVID-19, we're not saying it's over. What we're saying is life after COVID-19 hit. What are the things we're dealing with? What are the situations we're dealing with? I get to talk with many people, especially young adults, and there are all kinds of situations and fears that they are dealing with. And that's why we have Dr. Popoola here with us today. I'm going to be handing over to her quickly, but I'm going to be prompting her with certain questions. Right now, everybody is muted, but after her presentation and her talk, if you have any other question, please go to the chat room and write your message or indicate, then our coordinator will be able to unmute you. Thank you so much. Popoola, applauding you. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. I'm going to be looking at the questions. A few questions I'm going to throw at her, and she's free to ask me to repeat them at any time. These questions were got from my conversation. Like I told you, this is what I do. I get to talk with lots and lots of people, and I'm thankful to God for that opportunity. That I can talk to people and help them navigate. But having a specialist as a friend, as a partner, it's an added advantage for me. So I'm going to look at the questions that I jotted down from some of my conversations, and I'll read them out to her. Just a minute. I'll read them out to her so that she can, begin to respond. Okay. I wanted to find out, before we actually go to the questions, do we have a video? Mr. Damilare, is the video on? Can we see the video or the clips just about COVID-19 and where we are right now? Are you able to share the screen so that we can all see that? Thank you. So we're just looking at what, how it all started. That's the virus under microscope, I believe. And that's what we've been seeing all over the world. Everybody's saying that this is like the new image. And you're seeing the stores. This was supposed to have started in the Hunan markets, but everybody's here wearing a mask now. And that's the new order of the day. Even our parties, there are no parties right now. We have had a lot of issues spreading all over the world. All over the world. You're seeing pictures. Nothing here Airplanes are grounded. Nobody's moving anywhere. Ship vessels that came in late, people had to stay on the vessels. We have mass burials. It's such a sad situation. Mass burials going on. So so many traumatic issues. Schools are closed. Our children are, they can't even be in the four walls of the schools right now. So a lot of online learning is going on for some. But in less developed countries, many children are not even in school. That's a problem. And of course, we have our frontline workers who are daily exposed to the virus, and at the same time, they are helping those that are sick get better. We applaud them. All over the world, including in our country, Nigeria, even at press conferences, you have to observe social distancing. Some words have become buzzwords now. We all know what social distancing is: leveling the curve, washing your hands, sanitizers. There's some things that we all just know automatically now because of the advent of COVID-19. Frontline workers again. So we just have some images, just to jump our minds against empty streets. These are markets, empty. Nobody can go to the market. Nobody is there. And even in areas where the rules have been relaxed, they have to have them, go on certain days. Supermarkets, grocery stores, all closed. And when you go in there, you go in bits. So they count a few of you. See a wonderful street. Used to be filled with cars, empty. But the laws are being relaxed right now in many parts of the world. And so that's why we need to talk about this. After this situation, what do we do? Where do we go? Dr. Bolaji, you're here with us, and we're so glad that you're here. So these are the questions that we have for you right now. Some of my young adults, different counseling sessions have said different things to me. So I'm going to read some of the questions out to you, and then you can take them however you want to,
Can we do the questions one after the other so that I can?
Okay.
Just one. I don't want all the questions at the same time. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Mobolaji Oyebanjo Popola. As she said, I'm a board-certified psychiatrist, board-certified addiction medicine specialist, and global mental health with expert in trauma. Most importantly, I'm a Christian, and my style of practice is the best of faith and the best of science. I'm a scientist. I think God has nothing against science, but I also believe the word of God is final authority. So in this situation, I'm going to be applying both sides. You see me referring to the Bible and also using data from science. Okay, Mabel, I think it's best to ask the question one at a time.
Perfect.
If you give me too many questions,
I get lost in it. All right, thank you so
much. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. All right, so we have quite a few questions. Well, some of the questions are similar, so I'm going to ask the first one. The first one is is it ever going to be normal again? Is it ever going to be normal again? Am I going to be able to just step out and feel the way I felt 3 months ago, 4 months ago? Am I going to be able to go on the street, go to my friend's house? Is it going to be normal again? That's what I've heard repeatedly from my young adults. Is it going to be normal again? But I want to tie that with an experience of a young lady. A young lady called and she said, I'm actually shaking. I have not left my house in 3 months, but I have a doctor's appointment, which I have postponed as much as I can, but the pain is so much now that I have to go for the appointment. And she says that right now I'm going and I'm just so afraid. I don't know what to touch. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know if I can get an infection at the doctor's office. So tying that with this, why is there so much fear? Is it normal for us to be this afraid? And how do we deal with this? Are things ever going to be normal again? Thank you, Dr. Bolaji.
Trust you, Pastor Flakkie. You asked me 10 questions in one. Okay. You have to understand what a pandemic is. A pandemic is a disease that affects most of a country or a region. Is this the first time? No. In the past, even in the Bible, we had things that affected regions. In Egypt, they had plagues. And after that, there was life. We had, even though it wasn't a disease during the time of Noah, but we know that the whole world was affected. Only a few people were saved. And after that, there was life. General disaster happen from time to time. And usually after they occur, a new world order comes in. So is life going to be normal the way we used to know it before? No. Is there going to be life after this? Yes. Could life be better after this? Yes and no. It depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, as I sit down here, I know the anxiety has increased. We're seeing more patients report anxiety, stress-related disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression. Going up. So it's affecting every aspect of one's being. But the truth be told, is life going to be normal after this? No. But is life going to change? Yes. Is life going to change for the better? It depends on how you look at it. It really depends on how you look at it. So let me give an example. Will you believe that as much as many a new opportunity has been created for some industries? Most recently, I was just reading the ad on one industry. You know what they do? They come to clean and decontaminate offices. Months ago, did that exist? No. So for that person on that side of the world, the world, their dawn has just come. But having said that, do things the way we used to do things. For example, we're going to have to observe things that can keep us safe. All this washing of hands, all this wearing of masks, trust our Owambes in Nigeria. I was just talking to an event planner the other day. I was like, when are we going to get back to gathering 500 to 1,000 people in a room? And she was like, we don't know when. And a medication or vaccine against it will try and go back to normal. But it's going to take some time, because if you know the process of developing vaccine, it takes years. They're trying to get them out as quick as possible. They have to go to different phases of trials before they put them on the market. So but it depends on how you look at it. I mean, I wake up every morning being thankful that I'm alive, being thankful that I have another opportunity. Even also, I wake up every morning asking God for wisdom to look at the opportunity that this period brings in. Because you know what? As there's a casting down in some quarters, there'll be a lifting up in other quarters. So it depends on your attitude towards it. I am going to doctor's office. Has it changed? Yes, it has. If you ask me in my own industry, patients are loving it because they don't have to come into our clinics. Most of our things are conducted online now. So they don't have to waste the time and energy to drive into the clinic. We can do most of the discussion online. And if I have to run tests, I tell them, I give you 24 hours to get into the clinic to run this test. What has that eliminated? The wait time. They don't have to leave work and come and sit in the doctor's office for 4 hours. And when they have to. So things have changed. Not everything is negative. Some things are better, So our outlook is the key thing. Are we going to look at the cup half full, or are we going to look at the cup half empty? But things will change. Things are changing. But the most important thing is to open up our minds and pray to see the opportunity that this brings in.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bolaji. You've kind of given us a general response to what kind of questions that we've been receiving. But I need to ask you this before I go on. How can okay, well, I'm so afraid. You know, I'm speaking on behalf of so many people. I'm so afraid right now that I don't even know how to develop a positive attitude. You're saying it depends on how I look at it. It depends on what my approach is. I'm mindful of the fact that some businesses have started. That's a good thing. I'm mindful of the kind of things that are going on right now. You were supposed to come in here from Atlanta. Right now, you're here. You didn't have to buy a ticket. You know, so we're still together. So the advantages to this, we're all over the place. We're learning new ways of doing things. I appreciate that aspect. But at the same time, what about issues like my singles? Many of them have said to me, how am I ever going to meet somebody now? What is going to happen to me? Here I was already on the shelf thinking, we're out there. I haven't seen anybody. Nobody seems to have seen me. And for those of us that are, you know, more mature or married, it might just seem like that's a frivolous thing. But when you work with these people consistently, I can assure you that that's a nudging. They wake up with it and they go to bed with it. So what is your response to someone, to not just someone, to so many of them saying, how would I meet, you know, that bone of my bone, my soulmate, that person that I'm going to live the rest of my life with, if life is going to change so drastically? Thank you.
Before now, meeting places have changed. A lot of communication, interaction have been taking place online. The other day I called my younger brother, and please don't share this video with him. I called my younger brother, and he said he was making meat pie. And I was like, oh, who are you making meat pie with? I'm making meat pie with my girlfriend. Where's she at? 3 states apart. So before online in things, I don't think you're the only one searching. That for every man out there, there's a woman searching, and for every in your own world, there's somebody searching to meet you somewhere, and there's somebody somewhere who's also hoping to meet other. So I think where there's a will, there's a way. I suspect that a lot more meetings into the cyber space. Before now, people have been interacting on the cyberspace, and I think it's just going to happen more. And I'm also praying that we will find an answer to this COVID. It might be that we get a medication that quickly eliminates it, and then it might also be that they get a vaccination. But you're not the only one. I think sometimes suffering is easier when you know you're not the only one affected. Sitting in here, there are millions of other singles that are looking to get married. Some people are even getting married on Zoom. You know, so I believe God, trust God, you'll be found. You know, just trust God. This is what's happening right now. We have to give it the attention it desires. It deserves. We also have to make sure we take the necessary precaution. But the key thing is knowing that you're not the only one searching. There's someone searching for you too. And if they have to cross the mountain or have to understand Zoom or have to use Facebook, they'll meet you. So that's the only thing I can really say for now. Socialization will continue. It will change. It might be that some people will find a way of meeting outside, observing social distances, and most of the courtship might be on social media. But I think that as long as human beings are seeking to be together, they will find a way around it. Let's go to the issue of anxiety. It's natural to be worried. I mean, for me, I got to a point shut the outside down and I let the fear get inside of me, I'll be incapacitated. As Pastor Flakkie has mentioned, I was meant to be in Nigeria in April. I already bought my ticket. I had plans for the rest of the year. And all of a sudden, come February, everything started to unwind in front of me. Yeah, we all had plans. Some people planned to be married. Some people planned to be on vacation. Some people planned to be in school. You're not the only affected one. We all had plans. Then all of a sudden, this thing came on. And it's, there was almost this wishful thinking that, okay, it's not going to come to our vicinity. It's not going to come to our state. We were hoping, I was one of the people saying that, the sun in Nigeria is going to kill it, and it's not gonna thrive there. So it has affected everyone, and it's okay to be fearful because we're going into uncharted territories. The last time this happened was 100 years ago. Unfortunately, now that it's happening, we are televising it globally, and if you dare to sit in front of the TV, you will drown. So one of the first things I advise people to do is just you have to set a need to know basis in terms of consuming information. If you sit in front of the TV all day long, you will be paralyzed. There's too much information out there, a lot of negative information. You see all the body bags, unless you don't have you're not human. No one will see that much information and not be scared. I remember one day literally having to just close down the TV and open up my Bible and go read Psalm 91. I had to read it 3 or 4 times, get it to me. And that was when I realized that surely those promises of protection I had to stand on them. So you're going to have to find your word. You're going to have to get into your secret place. If you haven't been serious with your relationship with God, you better get back to Him. Because I don't know anybody or anyone that can guarantee you safety now than God. So fearful, yes. How many times did He say fear not in the Bible? 360 something times for such a time like this. So it's okay to be fearful. But what do you do with your fearfulness? Do you become paralyzed, or do you run back into your secret place with Him, where you know He's going to guide you, where you know He's going to protect you, where He has promised you that He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and the noisome pestilence? And the key word is, He said, surely He will do it. So this is the time that you have to sharpen your faith. Then the other thing is to be aware enough to know this happening. We do know that masks, we do know that social distancing are able to cut down the number of people that contact this disease. So know enough and make sure you get your information from trusted sources. So, for example, there are a lot of fake information online. If there was a guy somewhere in Maryland that consumed high amounts of garlic and ginger, eventually died. Are those protected? Yes, they are, but within a certain limit. So you just have to make sure that you're consuming the right information, doing your own bit to stay healthy. There's some nutraceuticals out there that can cut down the risk of respiratory infection. If you want to take those, as long as your doctor says it's okay, take a little bit of those. So whatever you can do to reduce your anxiety, please do. But also hide under God. I'm telling you, usually I'm a very positive person, then I'm a very strong-minded person, but one night I sat in front of the TV for like 2 hours, and at the end of the day, I was so scared. And that was when I said, you know what? I have to guard my mind through this. I cannot handle this type of information. I cannot keep consuming this type of information if I want to be able to keep my head above water. So more than ever, guard your mind, go back to the Bible, get useful information, follow practical guidelines, and be safe. Use wisdom.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bolaji. She said, Pastor Flakkie, I know you're talking about COVID-19. Well, this might not seem related, but during the lockdown, I started dating and sleeping with my neighbor who is married or whose wife is out of the country. Now, I don't know what to do about it. I'm ashamed and I regret it, but at the same time, I don't know how to cut it off. She said it might not seem, related to what we're talking about, but I said, I'm going to bring it up.
Everything is related.
Exactly. So so she's wondering, started dating and sleeping with her neighbor who is married, whose wife wasn't around. So the guy was locked down alone, and their neighbor, she says dating and sleeping with. I don't know exactly how to started dating, but that's how she views it. And now it's over. It's like there's a veil taken off her face, and she's like, oh my goodness. Or maybe because life is getting back to normal, she's full of regrets, and she's wondering how to do this. She doesn't know what to do. Says she's so embarrassed, she's so ashamed of herself, and she does not know how to cut it off. So she's ashamed, she's embarrassed, but she's still with the man. He's a married man.
I think for that, let's get over the shame. Let's get over the embarrassment. It's been done. What happens with shame is that it keeps us away from the help we need. We do know that in the Garden of Eden, when people sin, they become naked and they get ashamed. And what do? They run away from God. You have to actively make a decision to end it. You have to forgive yourself. I always say a sin is a sin is a sin. The sin of lying is just as bad as the sin of fornication. It's just that with fornication, you sin against your own body. But having said that, a sin is a sin is a sin is a sin. And we thank God that we have a God who is always looking forward to forgive us and give us a second chance. So the fact that you're alive today means that you have an opportunity to set things right. But this also brings back the importance of human connection. When the Bible said it is not good for man to be alone, we need fellowship. We need the right type of fellowship. One of the things that a lot of people did during the social distancing, physical, physical, it's more like a physical distance, not social distancing. What happened to most people during this period was that they stay connected by Zoom, online. So you might not be able to touch people physically, but you should have just stayed connected with others online, fellowshipping with others online, and just reaching out to people online. And also understanding that when we're lonely and alone, we tend to become very vulnerable. I mean, I guess they had some close quarters and one thing led to the other. I mean, use this as a learning experience. Let all of us use this as a learning experience. God forbid it could happen to most people or to anybody here if you're not on guard. So almost like Joseph did, you flee all tempting situations, flee fornication. Don't give room to it. I want you to just go back and retrace your steps. How come you ended up with this person? What happened? There must have been the wrong place, wrong time, wrong situation. So learn from this. God doesn't love you less. And all you have to do is, as you made the decision to start that relationship, you have the power in you to make the decision to end the relationship and come out better. I will not beat you for doing this. You know, we're human beings, and just learn from it, and let all of us learn from it. That they say, what you're not going to eat, don't smell. There's a adage in Yoruba that says that. So there's no need hanging around a married man or watching TV with him or drinking with him or even having his number. You learn from this. So go back and just look at where you let down your guard and make sure that this never happens again. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And one of the things that I did say to her in all the discouragements, I believe that she's hearing it from somebody else too, is that just like, you started it, you must purposefully end it. And I said, all that it took you to start it, you have it within you to end it at the same time. But I gave her some physical dimensions. I said, number one, you need to confront it and say, you know what, this is wrong and I have to move away from it. She said she can't face him. I said, then you have to write it. Because whatever you confront, the Bible says that what you hide your sin, it prospers. But if you confront it, then you're able to get power over it. So that's what we're working on right now, her drafting something and sending to him until she's strong enough to confront him. And then she has to I asked her to get her friend to come stay with her, because it'll be more difficult for her to sneak into the guy's apartment, whatever time they're together. And the other neighbors are not around, because that's what she said. They usually sneak around when neighbors are not seeing, So I said, get somebody else. You have like an accountability partner, someone who is there with you that will say, Miriam, come back here. That's not her name, by the way. Come back here. You can't go to him, and somebody that will help you. So thank you for saying that. But I hope that she's watching right now and she's hearing you say what you said. And somebody just said just to emphasize that, you know what, God loves you. Just like Dr. B has said, he loves you. He hates the sin, but he doesn't hate doesn't hate you as a person. So I don't know who else is affected in that way. You got into something, you did something during the lockdown that you're embarrassed about. People get into all kinds of lonely situations and begin all kinds of habits. On our online platform, we actually talked about that alone. We spoke a lot about pornography and masturbation and how to overcome that. And because those are sins that thrive in the dark. They are sins that thrive when you're alone, And so that's the same counsel we're giving here. Get someone. If it's going to be too much on you, get out of the situation. Just move away. Step out of the apartment. Then you're not in a cozy area where you are going to be watching TV with him, just like she has said. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're having a great time. I'm getting lots of feedback. People are sending messages to my phone. Please, if you have messages, send it to the chat online so that it's easier for me to get your question out or your comments. We're doing great, and I'm appreciative of the timing too. All right, Dr. B, before we actually open up for others to pass comments, someone said I was infected by COVID-19. Hold on. Okay, my entire family, 5 of us were infected. Every single one of us is well now, but there seems to be a stigma around it in my neighborhood, because we were taken, the ambulance came for us as a family, and since we came back, even though every one of us is well, it seems like we don't have friends anymore. Can you speak more about the aftermath of having COVID? Are you still able to infect other people? Is it, when we first discovered HIV, everybody was always running away. Now we hug people that have HIV without the fear of getting infected because of the medications that most of them are on. And so this person is wondering, how are they ever going to recover in this neighborhood? Do they have to move away? Do their children have to change schools? It's a man, his wife, and 3 children. And he says that he doesn't even know how to deal with it. They don't seem to have friends. And that's because they were taken in an ambulance as a family. And they thought it was the right thing to do. They had just come back from England. And so when they came in, they realized that a few days later that they were not feeling well. They got tested. 3 days later, the ambulance came and got the entire family. And so they're dealing with that right now. How do they navigate this neighborhood, this environment of now being seen with a stigma? Thank you.
One of the things I want to mention before I move into this is about the lady who lives in an apartment. I don't think the man, I'm not sure you even have to write. What you do is you flee. You don't need an explanation to tell him you're done. It might be better for you to flee, physically remove yourself from there. That might be the best way to even handle it. Writing him, so what are you expecting from him? If you stop picking up his phone, what are you expecting from me? You don't want to get into a conversation because he's going to try and convince you.
She doesn't have any phone. That's why. So she needs to be able to tell that, you know what, this is over and done with. But she says, I can't do it verbally. She has no one to stay with. That's the
well, she'll pray. Let her pray for. There's always a way out for every temptation. You know, and I'm not sure. Knowing the human mind, I'm just worried that he might start to suck her back in. So be aware of that. So I think the key thing is, if there's any way anyone wants to help her, is to give her space. The first thing is to flee. You don't need to negotiate with the one causing you to fail or fall.
That's right.
I think we're giving him too much power. But having said that, the reason why I smile, I heard of this case back in Nigeria. A family contacted COVID and they got treated, and very, very nice neighborhood and everything. And I think apart from them getting treated, the government mandates that they come and fumigate the house. I think that's part of the treatment. And so after the government mandated them to come fumigate the house, the next thing, the neighborhood vigilante started knocking on the door, and they wanted to get after the people returned from the house and from the hospital, the neighborhood vigilante came into the neighborhood. That happened in Lagos, and they started banging on the door. They wanted to get them out of the neighborhood.
My goodness.
So this happened almost a month, 6 weeks ago, and another one, the driver went back to where he lived and told them that his boss had COVID. In the middle of the night, they woke him up and said he couldn't return. So they got a clearance letter. So I'm trying to just say to you that the stigma is real. But why do we have stigmas? Fear, lack of information. And there's fear about the unknown, and there's lack of information, and thinking that and not understanding how the disease spreads. COVID is an equal opportunity agent. You have seen it among the rich, you've seen it among the celebrities, you've seen it among the poor. And we have, if you understand that, but for God, there goes I, then instead of you stigmatizing your neighbor, you will be grateful that they are alive. I forgot to mention that I thank God that they survived it. 5 people survived it. So in of itself, if 5 people survived it, that's only in of itself. The mortality rate of COVID, it's some people are surviving it. It's not the end of the world. It's not a death sentence. And for everyone that survives, there are many more out there that are carrying it and they're asymptomatic. How do you know if you don't have it, but you're just a silent carrier? So understanding COVID means that you stop pointing fingers, because as I said, but for God, there goes I with COVID. Having said that, it's important to get educated. It's important to know how it's transmitted. We're at the early stages of understanding COVID. Nobody knows if it's like the flu that comes and goes, or it's like HIV that stays there forever. Nobody knows. We don't even the doctors, you should see how much information I have to consume as a physician to know how it affects different parts of the body. One day they tell you that, okay, maybe chloroquine works, and the day next they're like, oh, maybe it doesn't quite work. Then one day they'll tell you that we don't understand this disease. We don't understand the long-term effects. So at this point in time, I think we all have to practice safe social distancing. If you practice social distancing with your neighbor, and I'm not saying you should go start sleeping in the house, at least still be humane with them. Make sure you wear the proper masks. Make sure you practice self-hygiene. Just interact with you just practice your own safe social distance, physical distancing. Make sure you keep the 6 feet rule and be kind to them. If for everyone who's been through COVID, they have been through a traumatic experience that they have never been through in the past. Some people tell me that they have their lives flash in front of them. Because as I said, this is one of those things that the doctor that is treating doesn't even know how it's going to end. So be kind to them, practice your own physical distancing, practice your own safety thing. And remember that the one you know is even better than one that might be in the midst of you, that might be spreading it, and they don't have any symptoms. So just be open-minded and let's educate ourselves about how this thing spreads. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. So we've heard it. You do not have to run away from your neighbor that got COVID and is now well. You just continue to maintain physical distancing, wash your hands, and realize that they have gone through a traumatic experience. So you need to be kind, especially we as children of God. Bible tells us that we give a cup of water to a child. We're doing it for Christ. So when someone is going through a situation, it's not the time to knock them on the head and say, you know what, you're an outcast. It's the time to draw them closer, not necessarily the way we usually do, but at least let them know that you are there for them. Do whatever you can to make them feel more comfortable. And to this family, you're going to be fine. That's what we know. And people are going to get more educated. What I always remember is that at the advent of HIV, people left salons. Nobody was going to the salon. People were scared to go to the barber's shop. But we all went back to it because over time, things change. Knowledge, understanding, information, just like she said. Thank you. Very quickly, giving a shout out to every single person that is online with us right now. Thank you so much. Thank you. I just been told that one of my fathers in the Lord, Reverend Sam Ajetumobi, thank you so much, sir, for being here. How are you, sir? Thank you. We appreciate you. It's always delightful where you have your father joining in. I'm so grateful. We'll get a chance to talk with you, sir. Thank you very much for taking time. Thank you for everybody that is out here. I see names, Constance, Duton West is here, Modupe, Temitayo. I see so many names, Ife, Ayomide. I can't call all the names, Glory, so many people. We're so thankful because this is our maiden Zoom edition. So it's a trial and we're thankful to God for the opportunity to be able to navigate this space. Caroline, all the way, thank you. Good to see you. We like this. And we know you're going to take all the information back to others and help them out. I have a quick question from someone that just sent this message. So how do we help our preteens deal with the extended break from school? And that's so serious. I own a school, an early childhood center, and I tell them it is so painful to me. It is so painful. Early childhood especially is a time of building social skills. The time of the children moving away from the home front and getting to work with other children. But right now, we can't even do that. An entire term is halfway through, and those are the little ones. So how do we deal with our teenagers, our preteens, just being stuck in the house? How do you deal with that? Not just as on the secular way, even as Christians. Is that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So many of them want to get into things. Thank God they can't even go out to go do some things, but at the same time, they are getting so bored. I have a teenager in the house. The other day, he ran into the room and he just ran and just said, I am so tired. I am so bored. And he was just going on and on. And I know a few times you have been, Dr. Bolaji, on the phone with me and you would hear his rantings. So I know what that is. How do we deal? How do we help preteens and teenagers during this period? Thank you.
I smile because I know what I always prescribe for our little boys. Cold Stone Creamery. Keep buying it for him. Okay. How do you help your preteens? I think the key thing is to first educate, make them understand why it is necessary to isolate. I think knowledge is power. Help them understand why you're doing what you're doing, why it's important to do what you're doing. Sometimes, you might even have to share maybe a movie or video of any information you have. That's not overwhelming, but that's able to help them understand exactly what is happening in the society and the need to stay safe. I think that's the first thing. Secondly, you have to be a little bit flexible with them. Understanding that, as you said, this is a time they make social connections, and all of a sudden they cannot make those social connections. I'll say practical things you can do is maybe you used to give them 5 or 10 minutes of your maybe you used to give them 2 hours of screen time. I'll increase it a bit. You can, I can buy more data for them, right? I can help them, give them more space to interact with their friends, because it's really important at this point in time. The other thing is I can help them practically get busy, learning new skills. One of the things I did over this time is I taught my daughter how to make more money. And then there were other things she wanted to do. We ordered it online and just acquiring new skills. So it's not a time that that you can't do structured things. I made up my mind with her, okay, during this time, as long as you do your schoolwork, there are a few things that we can do during this time. I also have a child who is learning how to drive at this time. So all those things that you've always wanted to do with them and they've always wanted to do, this is a good time to get it in there. It's also one of the things that we're doing is that we're going through Proverbs. Usually we run in and out of the house. We're doing more Bible studies at home. So you can use this time constructively. The other thing is that you yourself have to check your own mental health at this time. It is very easy as a parent to be very irritable. I mean, you're cooked in the house. Don't become a monster in the house. Be nicer to them. Be more approachable. I mean, to be honest with you, apart from the fact that we can't go out, we've got so much done in our family at this time. Like I said, one of them is learning to drive. One of them, I've made her cook stew a few times. Another one, I taught how to make moi moi. Just the other one, there was a new skill she wanted to learn. I said, go sign up for this class. So you can help them acquire new skill sets. But also as a parent, be careful, be nice. Be nice. Sometimes when we're stressed or when we're anxious, we come out irritable and we lash out at a teenager. This is a time to work on your relationship and make things better. They said if life gives you lemon, what do you make? You make lemonade. The key thing is keep them informed, make the most of this time, and tell them that you hope this will get better. As I said, you keep rephrasing it. It doesn't have to be half empty. It could be phrased as half full. That's the key thing. If I sit down and I complain, then what are they going to hear? It's all negative. But if I sit down and I say, hey, you know what, I've always wanted to do this with you. Let's use this for this time. Or you know what, I used to give you maybe 1,000 naira worth of data. You know what, I know you want to stay connected to your friend. If I can afford it, let's increase it to 2,000. Just practical things to make sure that they're staying connected. Also, not just connected to the world, enhance their connection to God and enhance their connection to the family. It's very important to use this opportunity to sort it out, because we might never get this opportunity again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know that I have to start that with my son, because he enjoys history, and so I realized the part of the Bible that he's actually going to enjoy reading will be, kind of more related to some extent, but just the story of the kings and how kingdoms were formed and overturned, all that. I think it's really been interesting for him. But we haven't gotten much of it done because he still has online classes. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to do much of it, even at your council right now. Thank you so much for still being here. We have 2 questions, and these questions, like I said to you earlier on, everybody, this is a mixed group. At the beginning, I said this is our first, our maiden edition online for a Zoom meeting, because of our physical meeting can't be in place anymore, or at least right now. But the reality of it is that even after lockdown is over, relaxation is over, and life gets back to the new norm, we will have to continue this way, because we're connecting with more people and we're getting the gospel out and getting people to understand how to live their lives better, to make it to that finishing line at the end of the day, which is what Let's Talk About It is about. It's about navigating those crooked gray areas that you don't necessarily see in black and white in the Bible, but you can get help from other people. And so these 2 questions, I know I don't have them, we've checked through, I don't have any younglings on the platform right now, but these 2 questions have come in, and they're both sexual, oriented questions. One of them says, it seems like my wife's body is on overdrive. Suddenly, she just wants it all the time. What is going on with this woman? I am tired and I want to be out of here. So that's a man saying that. And the second one is from a single person, I don't know if it's male or female, says that I had overcome masturbation, but just being shut down has driven me back to that, because it seems as if I have nothing else to do. Please help. Dr.
Okay.
Back.
Pastor Flakkie, you asked me 2 questions.
Yes, but they're both sexual.
They're not both related.
Together.
They're not both related. They're sexual, but they're not both related. So
Okay.
You have to remind me of the second one.
All right. I will.
Overdrive. Where have you been? Have you been at home with her in the past? Now she finally gets your attention. There might be different reasons why your wife is on overdrive. Has she been deprived? Were you at home? Did she have your attention in the past? Maybe she's making time for all the times you didn't have time for her, making up for all the times you didn't have time for her. Secondly, people deal with stress differently. Some people, when they're stressed, they distress by having sex. And some people, when they're stressed, they actually do not want to have sex. So there are many reasons for that. Maybe you're looking more attractive being in the house, and maybe you're not as grumpy as you used to be being in the house. There are many reasons for that. So like I said, some could be psychological, meaning that maybe things are getting better between both of you, and she might be happy that you're in the house, or you might be stressed out because you have to pay the bills. Secondly, environmental, you're close enough to her, so why not if not? And also, she might have been deprived. So I think the key word is communication. As the Bible says, you own her body, she owns your body. I think both of you should just sit down and talk about it and find a good balance.
Dr. Sobi, he says yes, in and out. He says, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He says, yes, I'm in and out, but I do not understand why she just wants me all the time now. I really am tired, and I really do not want to continue. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think he just wants someone to say. I don't know what he wants you to say to him. I don't know.
I think with everything in marriage, the key word is negotiation.
Okay.
The key word is for any marriage to succeed. The key word is negotiation. As you said, we don't have any kids in here.
Yes.
At different types of our relationship, typically one person wants it more than the other one. I don't know people who are there'll be times where the man is the one running after the woman, and there'll be times when the woman is running after the man. And the key word is conversation, negotiation, and just trying to understand how she feels. Why now? Or is she possibly stressed? Are you helping her relieve stress? I do know a lot of people when they're stressed that want to have sex to just ease the tension. Is that what's going on with her? If you're stressed, one of the things that might go out of the window is your sex drive. So it's not just, I think both parties have to look inwards to actually understand what's going on, and it shouldn't be the reason why husband and wife should fall apart. I think the key word is really sitting down, looking inwards to try and understand what is going on and finding a middle ground, to negotiate their differences. But from time immemorial, there's a time the man is the one. There's a period of time where you find the man running after the man more frequently, and then there's a time also where the woman is the one doing the chasing. But I think the key word is if both of you can find a balance, then your marriage will survive this. And if you try and sort it out amongst yourself, you cannot, and you don't get a resolution, then consider seeing a counselor to get to the root of what's going on.
Okay. I like that response. I like the fact that you just pointed out that some people distress by having sex, and some actually abstain when they're stressed out. So a couple, they need to find out what their balance is, and they need to communicate, because communication is actually the key and negotiation. And I think many of us can actually take that into other areas as well. And so I really like that, Dr. B. Thank you very much. But before we move on, I need to ask my coordinator, is Reverend Sam still in the house? Just like Dr. B, he's very big on marriage, and I know that he has a passion for this area. Pastor Yinkasani, I see you in the house. Thank you. I know you are there with my sister. I see Aweli, I see Lara. Thank you. Tumbo. Thank you. There's so many people here. I'm so thankful that you're all here. The most important thing is not just being here, but taking this message out to other people so that we can all, I keep saying it, navigate this new space together. Our children, our spouses, friends will be useful to one another. Mr. Damilare, could you please check, is Reverend Sam still in the house before I give the next question to our guest speaker?
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not. Okay. Thank you. Because I would have wanted him to speak. He's very big on marriage, so I wanted him to speak about that. All right. So I'm going to go to the next question, Dr. B. The next question was this, as the B part of this question. A young man or young woman doesn't, I don't know. I don't have this particular number. And so the person sends a message and says, Pastor Flakkie, I don't know what has happened to me. I thought I had overcome masturbation, but since the lockdown, I am so heavy into it now. Please help. What can I do again?
As you well know, masturbation can be an addiction. And how do you treat forms of addiction? The key thing is understanding your triggers. For many people who are addicted to certain things like masturbation or drugs, isolation is a big trigger. And so if you learn to identify your triggers, then you learn also to prevent situations that lead you into the trigger. One of the things that I do when I work with people who are addicted to masturbation is, first thing first, make sure you block all the avenues you used to get back there. For example, if you're subscribing to some pornographic channels and things like that, I typically tell people, please stop it. If that's what you want to do. If your goal is not to masturbate again, then maybe stop the subscription. Secondly, get accountability partners. It might be that somebody just shares keeps you accountable by looking through the receipts of your credit card every month. Thirdly, never be alone. Never be alone in that space, meaning that create as much, fill your time as much as possible so that when you don't have that extra time, you will not pursue that. My analogy is the case of that demon that was cleaned out from occupying a space in the Bible. Remember? It's not enough that you clean out a demon. When you clean out a demon or you clean out a habit, you have to replace that habit with more constructive habits. And once you replace the habit with more constructive, it will be harder for that habit to come back. But what happens is that many of us were suddenly stopped in our tracks with COVID-19. One day we're going to work, and the next day we're told, okay, please sit at home, don't come back for the next maybe 1 month or 2 months. And all of a sudden there was a sudden void that was created. And if you not actively plan to occupy that void, particularly if you have been a victim of maybe sexual addiction, guess what? Your brain is going to go back to that which you know best. And also, don't forget that for most people who are addicted, they're not addicted just for the sake of being addicted. They seek pleasure, and they find pleasure from their object of addiction. So guess what? You're stressed, you have all this time, and you feel sad, you feel low. What do you think the most natural thing will be for you to do? You go back to your habit. So if you're fully aware of your triggers, you're fully aware of your weaknesses, and you've tried accountability partners, and you've tried filling up your time, then maybe you need to get help. But what you're going through is natural. Most people will go to where they seek, where they get pleasure, so that they can overcome the stress of the isolation from COVID-19.
All right, thank you. Someone just sent this to me privately and said that could it be that masturbation is a form of release of frustration?
And what did I say? Pleasure. When you're stressed, do you get where I'm coming from? So you will use it. Unfortunately, if you're talking about it now, there's something called egosyntonic and ego-dystonic. Egosyntonic, meaning that I'm doing it, and we're hoping that we're all Christians. Another day we'll talk about masturbation. I'm not here to say it's a sin or it's not a sin. I'm just saying that obviously if you're bringing it up today, that means your spirit is not at peace with it, right? That's
Yes.
probably why you're bringing it up today. So if your spirit is not at peace with it, then that means what one man can do and get away with, another person will do and feel condemned by it. It's we're not getting into what the Bible says about masturbation, but you have brought it up today simply because you don't feel at peace with it. And if you don't feel at peace with it and you keep doing it, then it tells me that there's a purpose it fulfills in your life. Like with every addiction, there's a purpose in which the object of the addiction fulfills. Many people think that, oh, if you say you're addicted to drugs or alcohol, they're just bad. No, they're not just bad. There's a positive aspect to drugs and alcohol. It's just that the negative outweighs the positive. When you're addicted to drugs, what happens to you? Sometimes it makes you sleep better. It makes sex better. It makes you relax better. But the drawback is that other things suffer. So for you to have brought up this topic, I assume that you did find pleasure in masturbation, but for some reason, the displeasure from masturbation outweighed the pleasure, and therefore there's a discomfort you feel. And unfortunately, now that you're probably stressed or alone or sad because of COVID-19, you will go back to things that give you pleasure. Most of us will not be able to get out of the house after COVID-19. Why? Or will not even have clothes to wear after COVID-19. If you ask more people, what have they done? We're eating more carbs, right? We're eating the cake. We're packing up the pack. So we're going to things that give us pleasure. But the reason why we're not talking about it here is that we're not uncomfortable. Apart from the physical aspect of it, we're not feeling emotionally uncomfortable. So if you're here, as I said, there's the dystonic reaction going on, meaning that your soul is not at peace with it. But yes, does it give you pleasure? It does give you pleasure. Maybe you suffered consequences in the past, but your soul is not at peace with it. So even though you're using it to release stress or increase pressure in your life, it comes at a cost to you. The cost is that you feel condemned for weeks after that. I know that when you get condemned, it affects your self-esteem, even affects your ability to go to the Lord in prayer. So you have to understand the dynamics. Okay, I hope I answered that question.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. We're getting the questions online. This person says, a common concern friends and I have is that our young adult children who are outside the teenage years and who are away from us in the UK while we are in Nigeria feel they're adults, and their irritation is that we're constantly checking on them. You know, how do we deal with that? So common concern, parents are here in Nigeria, young adults, children are in the UK, but we're constantly checking on them. They're irritated, they're not happy about it. How do we deal with that?
Is it because of COVID-19 or is it
because of pressure right now? Like, don't go out. I've said that to you, but I'll call my son because I know that my daughter is, she's very careful, but my son will be like, I just stepped out to get some food. I'm just thinking, don't go and catch anything out there. You know, that's how I think. So I guess somebody else thinks like me, and I know that there are so many others as well. They're like, stay in. You're young adults. We know we can't manage your time for you, but they get irritated. So how do we help them and help ourselves? How do we receive peace in our hearts that these children won't get themselves into danger?
Okay, just zoom back to when you were 20, right?
Yes.
And how your parents used to be worried and how they used to come across. I think the key thing is communication and explaining. And you know what? Sometimes you feel that our parents remain parents, irrespective of our opinion. I mean, sometimes I felt my parents were overbearing, and it took me 30 years to understand that they really cared. So maybe this is your turn to understand your child's perspective. That, oh no, don't you trust me? Don't you think you've been, I know the difference between right and wrong. And we've had a lot of this conversation, Ms. Flakkie, in the past few weeks. The first thing is fear. You're worried about them. I mean, a mother will always be a mother. You're worried about them, rightfully so. I mean, I'm worried about my husband. The other day he came in, and I was in the bedroom. I heard the garage door open. The first thing I said, please go straight to the bathroom and wash your hands.
That's
yeah. I just heard him come into the house, and then I'll ask him, please, when you go to the gas station to fill your tank, what do? The other day I sneakily got into the car because I wasn't sure he was going to wear his gloves to fill the gas tank. Can you imagine? So it's because the bottom line is because we care and because we love them. And this is uncharted waters for everyone. We don't know how it spreads. We're just learning about how it spreads. And so it depends on your turn. Am I telling you what to do? or am I showing that I am concerned about you? So first thing, think about it for a minute, how you come across when you're talking to your kid. And then just ask them what they're doing. Before you start telling them what to do, maybe you can ask them what they're already doing. And then discuss about the disease and make sure they understand how it spreads. There was a time I literally had to show a video to one of my kids, to explain to her how this disease spread, because in her mind, it was just through droplets. And I had to explain to her about the viruses, how small, how invisible, and why we have to wash things thoroughly before we bring things into our house. So I think education is important. I mean, nobody came to this world knowing everything about COVID virus. You might have to educate them a bit, make sure you understand where they're at. To often, which, at that age, they're social butterflies. I have to explain to you, this is the risk of transmission if you use this, or if you have to spend too much time with this, or make sure that they absolutely have to go out. They have the right supplies. Do you have your mask on? Are you wearing your gloves on? And I always say the best thing I can do as a parent is to pray for them. Pray for them. Ask God to protect them. Cover them with the blood of Jesus. That's the best I can do. But as I said, I have the right to make sure that all those practical things are in place. I also have to make sure that I'm not overbearing, but also have to trust that they don't want to die too. It might just be a mishmash of information. I will just have to bridge the information gap. So, and remember that when our parents too used to tell us when we were 20, there's a little bit of sense of invisibility. Mom, I've got that. So maybe they're paying us. Maybe it's payback time for us to work.
All right. Thank you so much. I take this away from it, your tone. Are you speaking to that young adult child as if you're commanding the child? Are you micromanaging them? Are you letting them know it's because I care about you, I love you, and that's why? So I guess I need to take some counsel from that too. Definitely, like some other people would. We have and what would happen is if you have a comment, it doesn't have to be a question, it could be a comment, it could be whatever it is that you have to say. It's Let's Talk About It. It's a contemporary Christian talk show where we get to navigate muddy waters together, gray areas together, where we get to talk about all kinds of issues. And this team, and your hand, and then you'll be unmuted so that you can ask your question or pass your comment. Thank you very much. I know questions have been coming in, but we only have a few more minutes. So I want to give you the opportunity for someone that wants to, use their voice to ask the question or pass the comment. Anybody, please? We need to move quickly. Remember that it's not the physical gathering where we have more time.
Hi, it's Caroline here. I was just going to pick up and follow up from what Bolaji said about the teenage children. I've got a teenage son here who initially, as part of lockdown, wanted to go out, always wanted to go out on his bike, got very, very irritated when we tried to keep him at home, when we advised him not to go out. And although we talked to him a number of times about the virus, I suppose it's as a result of constantly talking to him each time he went out and came in, something dropped, something clicked. I think when we said, look, we don't know where the virus is, it's an invisible thing. And once you get it, we don't know how you're going to recover from it. So somehow the pennies dropped. As a result of that, he now does not go out unless he's dragged out, and that's to do the shopping, which he doesn't like to do. He has now accepted the new norm in our house where all garments worn out are left at the front of the house. He's not allowed to wear the shoes he wears out. He's not allowed to wear them back in the house. Most of the outer garment, the clothes he wears, including the trousers and the top, have to be taken off at the front of the house. So he now does that. And he now is not particularly bothered about going out. He doesn't want to go out. He does tend to stay very much in his own space. Well, I suppose we're fortunate that he's got a PS4 game, so he can talk with other people. But on the whole, other than that, other than making sure he's well fed, we have the occasional conversation, but we do leave him, I suppose, a bit as an adult, because I suppose if you think about it, and what Bolaji was saying about with our parents, as adults at the moment, I think we'd be equally irritated if somebody kept checking on us to ask us what we're doing, how are you sitting, how are you feeling, how are you something. If I'm sitting doing nothing, I'd like to just sit and do nothing. So it's also remembering the flip side of, during this period when we've got a bit of alone time, do we really want somebody poking and prodding us? I'd say so far with my teenage son, it's worked quite well. Initially, we were very worried that he was going to go out and pick up something because he insisted on going out either for a walk or meeting up with his friends. Now he just phones them, stays in.
Giving them motivation and staying on it helps. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
And one more thing, please make sure they have enough data.
Have enough data. I think we're going to have Dr. B put data into all the accounts of the young adult children, because she said that like a million times already.
Yeah, make sure they have enough, because you have to enhance, you have to understand that it's a necessary part of this age, and whatever you can do to help them remain in contact with people important to them, please do.
Okay.
So, and it might be also their games, if you're able to buy 1 extra or 2 extra for them, please do. I'm not asking you to break the bank, but to understand that developmentally, this is at this point in time of their lives, this is a time they spend a lot of time socializing. So whatever you have to permit, tolerate, understand, to make sure they're not socially isolated. And what better time to happen? We're already complaining before that most people communicated by texting.
That's it.
And then most people use FaceTime. Most people, a few years ago, we started communicating, oh, nobody's visiting each other again. And all of a sudden, we start perfecting the act of interacting socially, and coronavirus came. So just help them enhance socialization any way you can, without making sure that they're safe while doing it. It's important that maybe you used to give to check into their ability to connect with their friends. Maybe in the past you used to give them maybe 500 naira for data. If they ask you for 1,000 and you can afford it, just think about it. They're spending more time connecting online now as opposed to the past. Okay.
Yeah, and I think in other countries, data seems to be cheaper than it is in Nigeria. So maybe they have an advantage there for the parents there. So give them more time. But at the same time, when you give more time for more money for data, you also have to worry about what they are accessing, who they are talking to, and what they're doing online. So how do you then deal with that too? Because like I said, I have a school. We have online classes now, and well, this is even different. One of my parents called and said, you won't believe that my 4-year-old got into a chat room. Her 4-year-old got into a chat room, and she was like, just on the nick of time that she was able to grab the laptop from her before the girl started seeing all kinds of things. So even as we release more money or get more data for them, we also have to find ways for the younger ones to make sure that they're not accessing or getting into spaces that they should not be getting into. I have a question from somebody. Please remember that you have to raise your hand so that we can, and she says, how do you maintain a good mental health, especially when you're taking care of, to avoid lashing out unnecessarily when you are the one in charge of more than 10 children? So how do you maintain your sanity? How do you keep your mental health, when you're taking care of more than 10 children? How do you do that?
Okay,
pre-COVID, they could go out. So now she's stuck with them consistently. That's what I think is going on with her.
Okay. If you have, I pray for more grace for you to take care of 10 children. That's where I'll start. But having said that, it's also making sure that you reinforce your mental health. There's certain, even as a physician right now, there's certain nutraceuticals I'm taking. I hate to say I'm sleeping well. If I say I'm sleeping well, maybe I will know I'm lying, because I have other things I'm doing. But this is time to make sure you're sleeping very well, because during sleep, your brain is restored, your neurons recover, and it rejuvenates your mind. So make sure you're sleeping well. There's some neuroprotective nutraceuticals out there that you can take. Right now, everybody in my family, we take those. And laughter is good. When you don't have the kids, make sure you laugh. I'm watching more comedy. It's very, very good for you. Make sure you're laughing. And then the kids are there, structure them as much as you can. If there are kids that you can make nap, make them nap as long as you can. Just make the best of what you have. Structure, making sure you're taking care of your mental health, being mindful. If you have to take a few days off, take a few days off. If you can ask for help, ask for more help. But the key thing is making sure that you take care of your mental health by being proactive in terms of exercising, sleeping well, using nutraceuticals that help you cope with stress. If you're already a patient who's been formally diagnosed with mental disorder, make sure you don't run out of medication. If you need a little bit of counseling, there's online counseling now. Please get online counseling. If you have to pray, pray. You need prayers, I'll pray for you. With 10 kids, you need prayers. If you structure, just do the things that you can. And if you're totally overwhelmed, then maybe it's time to seek professional help.
All right, thank you. And in addition to that, because I work with children of different ages apart from the school, secularly, I work with them in the ministry as well. And so what I realized too that helps all the time is giving responsibility. I don't know what the ages of these children are, but I do not believe that they're all the same age. So when you have children of different ages, you can actually give them responsibility and they would enjoy it. Give them something little. People like to take charge. They like to take ownership of something. And so when you do that, it takes some stress off of you and you'll be able to get other things done. Be able to get other things done. And then your mind will be, clearer. You're taking care of them. How do you cope with online classes for children and still work at this time? Especially when you have more than one child and you have to assist them for 2 hours, for more than 2 hours a day. So how do you work? You still work, you have your own work, your own job, you have your job, and then you have children that you have to help with online classes. How do you do that? Before I ask Dr. B for help there, I want to say that one of the things that we in the education sector have actually suffered for the private schools, many of us that have younger children in our schools have suffered income loss because parents have now decided that if I have 3 children and one of them is less than the age of 5, the one that's less than the age of 5, I'm not going to bother about for online classes. So we're dealing with that as well. So this person, I can understand what you're going through. And many times we can't even say anything because you can tell that this person has a 13-year-old, has a 7-year-old, and has a 4-year-old. How are they going to deal when they still have a job themselves? So Dr. B, how do they maintain their sanity? How do they get the work done? How can they work this space?
I have children attending online classes right now, and I also have my sister who is a teacher and her son my nephew who is 11 years old. And so this is I think the key thing is to set up workstation for those who can work independently. It's important to create a small space, time, make sure they have all the material and give them a schedule. So if they're able to work independently, create a workstation for them. So all the proper you probably need to do is wake them up in the morning, make sure they have the breakfast and the sign in. Probably get them noise cancelling headsets so that they can focus and do their work. If you create workstation, give them their space. For those independent, they're typically very fine. Many of them are actually thriving. Then look at those that need a little bit of help. Some people need more help than others. There's some kids who with a little bit of help, you have to check in on them every 30 minutes. Look at how much help they need, to assess the help, make sure you're in communication with the teacher to make sure they're turning in their work. This is a time to cooperate with the teachers, because you do your bits on this end, but you never know if the kids are actually submitting their work. And then thirdly, do you also have to work from home? Like my sister has a double issue of having to supervise her son, and she's also a school teacher. So people are making demands of her. So she has had to create a workspace separate from her kid. And they agree maybe maybe every 3 hours they will check in with each other. And another thing that's happened during this time is if your child is finding it to sit down and learn, maybe this is time that you might observe certain problems. I've heard and seen a few parents who actually I've used this time period to observe their children, and they are coming up with learning disorders. Is this child cannot sit in front of the computer for 10 minutes, or this child cannot focus for 30 minutes. I have to keep redirecting this child. So we have had a surge. We've had a sort of increase in parents seeking for help for their children's learning issues. So, in the past, guess what they used to do? They used to ship the child off to the teacher, and at the end of the day, the teacher will send the child back home. But when they themselves are beginning to struggle to teach this child, they're now beginning to look at the possibility of a learning disorder and formal intervention. So it's you just have to make the best of what you got. As I said, create space, noise cancelling, microphone, make sure they have structure, make sure they go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time they used to do. I mean, there's a temptation for the kids to feel they're on vacation, and then they stay up till 2 a.m. and they expect to wake up by 8 the next morning. That's a lie. So make sure they maintain the healthy schedule, give them what they need to succeed, give them their space, and check in on them. And if you notice that the child is struggling repeatedly, maybe you need to start looking at getting professional help for the child. And you to also maintain your own workspace so that you can focus on your own job as well, and communicate with the teachers. If you notice an aberrant behavior in the child, maybe this is the time you send a message to the teacher, and the child might be able to say to you, I told you so. This child has been struggling for a while. But you weren't open-minded in the past to consider a disorder, and get professional help.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Being in the educational sector, I totally connect with that too, because I know that many times when children have learning disabilities and you try to talk to parents about it, they don't even get it. But now that they're home with the children, we're getting, feedback about what they see and what they're experiencing. I have a question here from a young lady, and she says, I am 26 years old, and a few of my friends and I miss church, but we do not want to go back to church. We do not want to go back to church. It seems like it's so scary to go out there now, and church can seem so overwhelming. We actually enjoy this online kind of church that we have right now. Does it mean we're no longer Christians?
Okay, good question. I'm enjoying the online fellowship. But I also know that there's a purpose to church. The key thing is that we are the church. And when we go to meets, that is not just church, that is fellowship. And so understand that there's a role for church, which you are the temple of God, and there's a role for connection, which is fellowship. I find out that when I'm in a good fellowship, I pray better, I'm more accountable to people, and they encourage me to do better. There's safety in numbers. And when I'm in a fellowship that is not very good, those things are not as positive in my life. So maybe this is a real time for you to reassess how well you're being fed in your church and how well you connect. Because you're what we call the physical church is made up of individual churches. When we go to church, you need a lot. I am the church, you're the church. On fellowship, what's the quality of fellowship? That the one who is not making the most of it, or am I the one not contributing enough? It doesn't mean you're not a Christian. I've had those questions myself. I find out that I'm actually enjoying the online church. At least I don't have to get in the car and drive to church. But while I pondered on that recently, the Holy Spirit pointed out. So go and revisit the importance of fellowship, and then you can make up your mind. Church is you are church, and fellowship is fellowship, and fellowship has its own advantages. Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, we have just one more question, and then we'll be rounding up, unless somebody speaks from, those that are online with us. A question was sent in. My fiance has just lost his job, and he has just lost his job and says that we should postpone our wedding. I'm not for that. I really do still want us to get married in December. Am I being demanding?
It's a marriage is not between yourself and yourself. A marriage is between yourself and him. And it's a man that marries, not a boy. He has to be able to fulfill certain obligations towards you before he. So be careful what you ask for. I think it's very responsible for him to say, hey, I need to reassess my finances before I take on the responsibility of being your husband. I think it's being mindful. I think it's being respectful of you. There are many men out there that get them. So before you get upset with him, try and understand his thinking, and instead of forcing him, maybe the way you can encourage him is to stand in faith with him and pray that he gets another job before that time. But don't forget that it's a man who leaves home to cleave, not a boy. And when you wear the title of a man, there are certain responsibilities that come with that. You must be able to take care of your wife. So make sure you're not the one pushing him to do what's not biblical. If he says he's not ready to, you can't take care of him. If he says he can't take care of you at this time, maybe you need to respect him. A better approach is let's pray and wait on God. I will pray for you to get a job. As I said, I'm seeing a lot of opportunities in this COVID period. Be it for people are now making masks. Delivery services have gone on the increase, and cleaning services have gone on the increase. Just the new industry springing up. So he might be able to get one of those jobs, or he might be able to start his own business. But respect the fact that he's a man and he wants to take care of you. So before badging him into marrying you, try and understand what's his fears and his concerns. And if he truly loves you and you truly love him, what will the few months of waiting do? And the other thing is, depends on also the practical aspect of the wedding. Like, were you planning to invite the whole world?
Dr. P, she just said, sorry to cut you off. She sent a message. She says, you do not understand. I'm 39. I'm 39 and I do not want to wait anymore. It's bad enough that I'm 39 and I'm not married. And now he wants to postpone the wedding. I have a good job and I'll take care of us.
I think it's not just about you, it's about him. It's about him feeling that he's able to take care of you. It's not about the wedding day. I always say this. Coming together. If he says that he wants to be able to take care of you, I think that's a good man. That's the way the Bible wants it to be. And if you now come in and say you want to change the order of things, we're ready for the consequences. Many times we want what we want when we want it, and then when the consequences come, we start complaining. Mm-hmm. So be respectful of his wishes. And I'm just a little bit concerned. You know, I shared a testimony lately. A friend's sibling got married at the age of 48 and had a baby at the age of 50. To be honest with you, as a physician, and I've been in faith for a long time, 48, you know, thank God she now has a husband. I wasn't even thinking about her having a child, but for God to remind us that he's no respecter of time.
That's right.
On her 50th birthday, she had a baby.
Yes. And
so when you start putting pressure on another human being, are you walking in faith or are you walking in fear? I need you to go think about why you're doing what you're doing. Are you walking in faith? Are you walking in fear? And what is love? Love is considerate of the other person. So just go think about it. Understand the social pressures on you, but also think about him. Maybe instead of forcing him to do it quickly because of your age, you might get more things done by going on your knees in prayer and praying for him.
Going to be our last question, well, from the messages I have here, unless there's anybody online. And then once again, it's let's talk about it. And if you look in the chat area, you'll see that people are already giving counsel, because that's what it is. You are co-counselors. Nobody has all the answers. We have a specialist in the house. I'm the host. And yes, we have knowledge, but every single person online has something to share. And so I'm thankful for those that have actually responded to some of the questions by giving their own counsel. So please go through the chat and make sure that you get something from it if the question was asked by you, or if it's applicable to something in your life or somewhere that you can share it to somebody else. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've had an amazing time. Nobody else has a raised hand, so we're going to be rounding up. We're going to be rounding up. Let's talk about it once again. You can check us out on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We just decided finally to come out. It has always been sort of a covert thing going on, but now we're out. And God is going to be using us in different places by his mercy and by his grace. We're so thankful to have Dr. B here. And she's going to be back. She's an in-house guest anyway. So she's a guest speaker, but she's an in-house person. So she'll be back again and again and again. Those, like I said at the beginning, those that met with her last year, I can't remember what month it was, they're totally in tune with her and they want her to come back. So we're glad. We're really glad. Rounding up on the topic, life after COVID-19. Dr. Bolaji, do you have anything to say?
Positive. I think that as with the Israelites when they left Egypt, I think there's going to be a transfer of wealth. My prayers right now include opportunities, asking God for wisdom, asking God for other steps. I think I'm strongly of the belief that when they say there's this casting down, hiding myself, as I said, I'm really, really hiding in the secret place of the Most High. I don't fool myself that I can handle all the information. I'm managing the information I get. But I am praying seriously for the opportunities that will come out of this situation. Remember that when the Israelites left Egypt, there was a transfer of wealth. I'm of the belief that if we stay in a secret place, we'll come out better in terms of our perspective of our life and our purpose here on earth. I think one of the things that COVID has done is that shown you that all those shoes in your closets and the clothes in your closets, they can't wear themselves. Some of them have revealed to us that we're wasteful. One of the things that COVID has probably taught a few of us is to save more. Also, to just reflect on how we're living life and while we're here. But as I said, I believe that at the end of COVID, we'll be better people if we do what we ought to do with the spirit of time that we have.
All right, thank you so much. And from the crew and I, the most important thing is our take home, our take away from, the COVID, the whole situation, coronavirus coming into our life is a time of reassessment. Check out, cut off whatever you need to cut off. At times it's human beings. Some people are in your life and they're more like baggage. They're more like a weight. They're not letting you grow. They're not letting you move forward. They're not letting you move ahead. They're constantly speaking negativity into your life that you do not even know who you are anymore. You need to cut them. Not that if you need to cut them off. And this period has given you the power to be able to do it. So please do that. And if you need to develop new skills, she said that, and I'm saying it again, reiterating it. Please go online, connect with people, connect with those that can help you out, and move on. Most importantly, where's your relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ? Many of us are here, we're not Christians, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the only way we can stay safe and stay well and make it at the end of the day, success is what? It's not about all the millions you have in your accounts. As you can see, airplanes were grounded, cars could not move. The clothes in our closet, I did a video about the best dressed thing in my house. It's my closet. Everything becomes vanity upon vanity. The most important thing is your relationship with God, followed by the relationship that you have with other people. I always call it the vertical and the horizontal. Take care of those. The Lord bless you. We're looking forward to seeing you next month. And next month, we're going to be talking about marriage. And it's marriage. Why does that word make me so scared? Marriage, why does that word make you so scared? I don't know. Maybe you want to come in. We're going to have a panelist. So please come to us. Join us next time. God bless you all. Thank you. Love you. Really appreciate you. I have to give a special shout out to, I see so many of my peers, my classmates. God bless you. Thank you. And my pastors, my provincial pastor was here, Pastor Toru. Thank you, Ma. Reverend Ajeto Mobi, Pastor Yinka. I'm so honored. I appreciate every single person here, but I needed to give a shout out to them because they're my elders and I appreciate their presence here. Thank you. God bless you all. And may all that we have learned not be lost on us. Please go love yourself and love other people too. God bless you.